Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bell Ringers podcast. Colin Daly alongside Ben Goldstein. And folks, Phillies baseball is just around the corner in Philadelphia. Of course, we have our exhibition games going in Clearwater. Lots of exciting news, observations, highlights have come from there. But in the Northeast, in less than 3 weeks, there will be baseball that matters. Ben, how are we doing?
I am doing great. Just by the fact that there's going to be competitive baseball played this month is awesome. I got my opening day tickets. I will be in the building on March 28th, and I'm ready for a long time Zach Wheeler column.
Yeah, it should be a very, very exciting season. Of course, as you mentioned, Zach Wheeler is locked up for the next 3 years. Well, really, the next 4 years. We have not started the season yet. He got the largest extension for a pitcher in baseball history.
Yeah,
very impressive feat there.
Highest AAV of any Philly ever. Highest AAV, or the fourth highest for any pitcher ever. 3 years, $126 million. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
Well deserved. And it's kind of a perfect deal, I feel. Phillies kind of get what they want. They get that short. They get Wheeler for the rest of his prime. He's going to be 37 when his deal's over. And Wheeler gets what he wants. He gets $42 million a year. Like, that's absurd. And you look back at that initial contract, 5 years, $118 million, signed right before the pandemic, and that's become a steal, Colin. Because, that's nothing now. And they got one of the best pitchers in baseball for nothing before the pandemic, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and as we know, where Wheeler really shines in the playoffs. That is a very valuable attribute for a team to have. A lot of times you'll see the opposite, where a player meets their expectations in the regular season and then has a sudden regression in the playoffs. But Wheeler comes up big when the stakes are high. And that is a super, super valuable attribute for a player to have, especially on a team that has contended the past 2 years and is expecting to do so once again in 2024. So definitely a very smart decision by the Phillies front office, in my opinion, to ink Wheeler through 2024, through 2027. I did a little math in my head there.
Yeah, Wheeler's whip and opponent's on-base percentage is the lowest ever for a pitcher in postseason history. That's just one stat. Also, in 11 games and 10 starts, 2.42 ERA, 0.73 whip. Like, the guy's insane, and he's just as good in the regular season. 43 and 25, 3.06 ERA, and 101 starts with the Phils. And the fact that he just keeps getting better is, the guy is in the postseason. It's pretty incredible to watch. And for a team whose World Series window is closing fast, it's good to have a guy like Wheeler on your team. And I don't know why people were really doubting that this deal would be done. I wasn't saying that this deal was going to get done this offseason, although it did, and that's obviously the goal. People didn't think Wheeler was going to be back after this season. And the Phillies might not have signed a big free agent, but they have done what they've needed to do. They've re-signed Wheeler and Nola. And that was the two biggest priorities for a team like the Phillies to do. And it's good that they got both those done.
Right. So, I mean, if you look at it from multiple perspectives, you make a great point, because you don't need to necessarily add players to win a World Series. In 2022, this team without Trey Turner, who, despite having a down year in 2023, is still one of the best players in baseball. I will stand by that. I was frustrated with him last season, as were many, but I'm not going to disregard what he's done from 2016 to 2022. Now, like I said, this team was 2 wins away from winning a World Series. So we know what they're capable of doing. So their biggest priority should be re-signing the guys who have proven they know how to play in the playoff environment. And Nolan and Wheeler are two of those guys.
Those are, I think, the two most high. I mean, Nola's last two starts and there's two starts in the two biggest games of his life. Game 4 of the World Series and Game 6 of the NLCS weren't great, but he is still very effective when you need him to be. And we're going to get every other Nola this year as well because he was not great last season. So that means he's going to be great this season. And Nola,
That's
and I
how he
mean,
rolls.
Wheeler's just consistent. I mean, you don't get a guy as consistent as Wheeler
No,
really
not
anymore.
never,
And
ever.
I mean, Wheeler is consistently very good.
The best.
Yeah.
He does what he is the top tier.
Is
He might not be the number one guy in baseball, but he is at that top tier level.
Is before Yamamoto was throwing a pitch in Major League Baseball, is Zach Wheeler the best pitcher in the National League?
No.
Is he 2?
That's tough.
Because we know, I mean, the consensus number 1 is Blake Snell, and he might go to the American League when this offseason is over, if those two ever sign, which we'll get to them in a second.
Right.
But, I mean,
in terms of, like, if you look at consistency, effectiveness in the playoffs, ability to, stay healthy throughout a season, Wheeler's definitely top 3, I would say. I mean, obviously Corbin Burns is up there. Now he's on the Baltimore
he's in the
Orioles.
American League now.
Right. We'll have to see where Snell goes. Yamamoto shouldn't even be on a list. Right? You can't be a top player in baseball without. Yeah, that's not how it works. So, yeah, like even if he goes 7 innings and allows no runs in his first start, he's not cracking my top 100. That's just not how I roll. You can, I'm sure he will be on people's lists, and that's fine. But you need to be able to play consistently for at least give me until the All-Star break before we start throwing his name out there for top 5s and top 3s and even top 1s.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Now, hold on. Real quick question. Does Shohei Ohtani count as a pitcher?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're talking,
that guy is absolutely disgusting.
If you're talking right now, Ohtani's not going to pitch this year because of his injury. So, but yeah, and I guess he would be the best pitcher in the National League right now, which is kind of absurd for a guy that's also the best hitter in the National League.
Right.
But yeah, Wheeler's wife just had a baby. Winter.
Yeah.
Winter Wheeler. What do you thought? What are your thoughts on Winter Wheeler as the name?
Let's just say his.
We're gonna move on from
better than his.
Move on. Yeah, Wheeler. This deal was done on Saturday, February 24th, before the baby was born. So good for the Phillies. Good for Wheeler. What a week for the Wheeler family.
Did you see that he dropped his wife off at the hospital? He went to a park to throw a bullpen, and then went back to the hospital right before the baby was born.
I mean, the guy is a machine.
He is.
And this is why he's the most paid Philadelphia Philly per year ever. Which might change when Bryce Harper eventually gets this deal, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Colin, with the Phillies signing Zach Wheeler, or re-signing him, or extending him, whatever you want to call it, Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell are still on the table. With this Wheeler extension done, do the Phillies still have a chance, a possibility at Montgomery or Snell? And if so, which one do you think it will be? And if so, what do you think a deal would look like?
You're giving me all the tough questions tonight, Ben. This isn't fair.
I mean, you got your sources. You should know.
So, to answer your first question, is it possible? And the answer is absolutely. To me, that's a pretty straightforward question. I have always been a big believer in stacking up your pitching. Pitching and defense wins you World Series. Phillies already have a lethal offense. They have the guys that they need to produce runs. The truth of the matter is you do not need 9 Bryce Harpers in a lineup to win a World Series. But you need a certain number of Zach Wheelers. They have their Turner, they have their Schwarber, their Castellanos, their Harper, their Realmuto, and then you have your up-and-comers, Stott, Bohm, Rojas, Marsh. That right there is the core that you need. Those are your 8, because I don't think I mentioned JT Realmuto, who is aging but still a very effective catcher. My conundrum is I like the Phillies rotation, right? Wheeler and Nola are your 1As. Interchangeable, depends on the day. Ranger Suarez is going to be your 2, really your 3. And then Taijuan Walker and Christopher Sanchez. If the Phillies go out and sign Montgomery or Blake Snell, it's a very good idea, and I would be in support of making those moves because, like I said, you need to stack your pitching. Starting pitching and bullpen is what you need to stack if you want to be a competitive team in the playoffs. Look at the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros had the dirtiest bullpen in 2022. And late in the game, the Phillies had a ton of strikeouts. That was not by accident. But where my problem lies is that Christopher Sanchez would get booted from the rotation. And again, I love Montgomery. I think I actually would prefer Montgomery over Snell. But Christopher Sanchez deserves a chance in the rotation. He was more effective than Taijuan Walker last year. Taijuan Walker, not durable. Very good starts in the beginning of the year. I know that you can't just disregard Walker and get rid of him. He's on a pretty hefty contract. But he has shown throughout his entire career that he is not a good second-half pitcher, which then translates into not being a good playoff pitcher.
They didn't get a chance in the playoffs this year.
And that's for a reason.
Yep.
Christopher Sanchez was very good last year and has shown improvement. Taijuan Walker was Phillies, the Mets, and I want to say he was on the Mariners before that. I'm 95% confident of that. He has shown the Diamondbacks as well. Yeah.
Mariners and Diamondbacks, Mets,
I
believe are the 4, and the Phillies are the 4, I think.
But he has shown on all of those teams that he is a great first-half pitcher but cannot do it in the second half. So, now, I would love a 6-man rotation. I think it will help guys stay healthy. I think it could help someone like Walker who had that depletion in the second half. So,
only thing with that is Nola and Wheeler don't like the extra day. They're not good on the extra day.
Well, Nola said that weren't Nola's stats better with the extra day? I know Wheeler does not like it.
Wheeler's terrible with the extra day. I think Nola's kind of in the same boat. But the thing, going back to Snell and Montgomery, it came out that the Phillies haven't even had a serious conversation with Snell or his team. So you can kind of throw Blake Snell out of the equation. And it really just comes down to Jordan Montgomery. What would a deal look like with Montgomery?
Short-term deal.
He wants a long deal. He wants a long-term deal. He does.
Yeah, well, Montgomery is on the older side, right? What is he, mid-30s?
I can tell you right now, but I know that's why there's nothing been agreed yet because no one wants to have him for a long time. Jordan Montgomery is 31.
31?
A year older than Aaron Nola. His nickname is Gumby.
Spell that.
Gumby.
I don't know.
6'6", 228 pounds.
He's a big guy. He's a huge guy.
Yeah.
Again, I've been a Montgomery fan for a long time. Back when he got traded to St. Louis, that 2022 deadline, I want to say, he went from the Yankees to the Cardinals for Harrison Bader. He pitched really well for St. Louis, really well for Texas last year. So I think that he's going to get it's going to be a compromise. I think you want somewhere in like the 5, 6 years. A lot of teams want 2, 3 years. I'd say a 3 or 4 year deal is probably what's going to end up happening with Montgomery. The only reason I think the Phillies would shy away from that is that if they're looking at Montgomery, it would be on a 1 or 2 year deal. They have a lot of contracts that are expiring in that time frame. You have Castellanos has 2 more. No, other way around. Schwarber has 2 more years.
Cousins is 3.
Castellanos has 3 more years.
AT is like 2.
Right. Eventually, and then Wheeler has 4 more years. But if you were to sign Montgomery to a 2 or 3 year contract, there's going to be a lot of guys leaving in like that 2 year span. I think it would be hard for the Phillies to rebuild. They have to look for either a super short term option, 1 year, maybe 2 years, or they have to go out and find someone that could be a 5, 6 year contract, which I don't think that's not going to happen right now.
I don't think the Phillies are worried about the 2, 3, 4 year down the road with their World Series window is 2 years. I think they got this year and next year, and I think this year's the better chance because the Dodgers will be fully figured out next year.
Sure, but my
And
counter
that's
argument
Ohtani.
to that,
And they've
my counter argument to that is what's the Phillies' long term goal? Like, are they trying to be like a Dodgers esque or Yankees esque franchise where they are consistently good and are competitive every season? Because if that's what they want to be, then signing a guy on that short term deal and like disregarding what's down the road is not the way to do that.
Well,
If they want to be a team that's super competitive for a World Series in the next 2, maybe 3 years, then yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know if that's the Phillies' goal.
They are so desperate to win because they've been so close. I think their window, they just gave Thompson the extra year, so now he has 3 years. So they're looking 3 years, and then I'm sure that'll be it for Rob. I don't know if Rob Thompson gets extra years or not. He's kind of old, but I think their goal is 3 years, and then after that, they still have a lot in the farm system. They have 2 great starting pitchers, and Andrew Painter, who won't pitch till next year, and McAble. They have some bats that that could come up, and there's a lot they can do. That's why they haven't made any trades at all, really, because they don't want to give up their pieces down in the farm. So the Phillies' goal for the long term is confusing or kind of troubling because they don't really have one, but their window is 2, 3 years to win a World Series and be competitive every single year because then you're going to be out of prime. Wheeler, Nola, Bryce isn't going to be Bryce Harper forever. Trey Turner is going to be Trey Turner forever. JT Realmuto is already on the decline. He's aging. Kyle Schwarber isn't going to hit 45 home runs every year. Nick Castellanos isn't going to be the Nick Castellanos we saw last year every year. These guys are starting to get older. I mean, then you're going to have the prime Stott and Bohm and Marsh, but you can't rely on those. I mean, unless they become something. I don't think those guys can carry the retirement home to a World Series. So really, all these guys right now are in their primes for the next 2 seasons, and that's all they have.
Well, if you compare the way Dave Dombrowski has handled the Phillies since he started his tenure in Philadelphia and compare that to the other teams he's been with, mainly Boston and Detroit, he has managed the Phillies differently. He has been a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? He's been more proactive, planning ahead, realizing that he can't just dump the farm system because look at where the Red Sox are now, look at where the Tigers are now.
Well,
they've had their short-term successes, but it leads to a downhill spiral.
I think the Phillies, this is the best farm system he may have had. Like he's never had. Has he ever had an Andrew Painter or?
No, he hasn't. But you can't always count on them panning out, right? You've got a guy who just came off Tommy John surgery. That is a big question mark. Mick Abel has not been consistent in the minor leagues. He posted a high ERA, high fours last year. So again, that's another question mark. Justin Crawford has like a negative average launch angle, and I know he's in single A. He's 20 something, maybe not. I think he's 20 years old. You can't always rely on those numbers, but he is not the guy who's going to come out here like Justin Crawford was not drafted to be an MVP caliber player. He was drafted to be an average, like he wasn't the high risk pick. It was we know that this guy is going to be an average major league player who can get on base, steal bases, and hit for a high average. That is what they see in Justin Crawford.
All right, well, realist Colin Daly has made his first appearance of 2000. I think this is the first realist we've gotten from you in 2024.
Aiden Miller, though, that kid is good. Same with what's the guy? I'm gonna see his face. They drafted him last year, and
the dude you wrote an article on?
No.
Luke
if you go to the draft tracker that I did last year.
All right, whatever. We got to move on. We got some hot dogs to talk about, Colin.
Oh, that's right.
What do you put on your hot dog? You seem like a plain hot dog kind of guy. No,
I don't eat hot dogs.
I feel like I knew that. So you probably don't have a super strong opinion on Dollar Dog Night, then.
I really couldn't care less, to tell you the truth. Honestly, I mean, I'll let you go first on this one.
So I have never been to a Dollar Dog Night, but I know the significance and importance it has to not just the Philadelphia Phillies, but the city of Philadelphia. I mean, it's up there with Jason Kelsey, who just retired, yesterday? Dollar Dog Night was... The Phillies, I think, are a special organization because they have kind of the same things they always have. Like, there's a few things that always stay the same. The name has been the same since 1883. The Philly fanatic has never changed, except that one weird time where they lost the
That was fake.
And what's his face? Dan Baker. Like, they've had Bill Giles is still in the organization. Larry Bowa is still in the organization. They've had these guys that have been through everything. And Dollar Dog Night is one of them. And I'm not upset if they... I talked to Alex Carr about this on my on the Philly Sports Hour the other day. And it made for a good conversation. And he brought up a good point where if they would just tell us the real reason of inflation and how they're trying to pay off a lot of big contracts, we wouldn't be angry. But we're angry because they blamed it on the fans for throwing the hot dogs and the big lines in the concourse. The thing with the concourse is now they're going to have security in the concourse, making the lines go quicker. Why couldn't you have done that for Dollar Dog Night? Second, throwing the hot dogs has been around for 27 years. Even before that, we've thrown hot dogs on the field. And you're just blaming it now because now people have these things with good cameras to record them and post them on social media like this. I mean, here, the people throwing the hot dogs on the field should not be the reason everybody has to not have Dollar Dog Night. That should just be for those select individuals who are dumb enough to throw hot dogs on the field. They should not be coming to the stadium. They should be gone. They should be banned. You don't have to ban a whole promotion because of a couple idiots who should just be banned. So I'm not. I could care less if Dollar Dog Night's fine or not. I just don't like how the Phillies blamed it on us instead of the real reason, inflation. And another thing, $1.50 more for a hot dog is kind of like, come on, like that's basically the same thing, just $1.50 more. People are still going to buy a lot of hot dogs. People are still going to throw them on the field, and there's still going to be problems. And it's not going to be our fault. It's the Phillies' fault because they don't take cash anymore. If they took cash, just hand the guy $1. Things move quicker. Instead of waiting 5 minutes to scan your card, oh, your card's not working. Oh, let me get a different card. No, hand the people $1 and you move on. It's the Phillies' fault. These new Phillies, Kyle Pagan said this on Crossing Broad. The new Phillies are so boring and vanilla. The new Phillies. Everything
Vanilla?
vanilla. Boring.
The ice cream.
Yes, the flavor. It's like very bland and boring. That's what these new Phillies management is. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing different. We have to be like everybody else and blame it on the fans and have problems. Let's have fun. Phillies, please. There you go. There's my rant.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, listen, Dollar Dog Night riles people up, but it's also a big boost in the demeanor and the morale of the fan base. So I think you need to pick your poison there, and I think that having the latter is super crucial to a strong franchise and a strong organization, and it brings people together. It really does. It sounds stupid. The hot dogs for $1 bring people together, but it does.
It does.
People get excited about, gets promoted. People go to the game specifically for their $1 hot dogs. My dad does it. I don't know. It just like, yeah, and it sucks for the people who love their hot dogs, who love their $1 hot dogs, and love to use it as an excuse to get drunk at the stadium.
And another thing is, you know how much money they were making off of Dollar Dog Night? They were selling $60,000 hot dogs a game. I bet they will not make $60,000 on BOGO Night. There's no way they sell 60,000 dogs. I mean, now it'll be less, but
people still have to eat, and the food's expensive. So I bet they do. They will still make their money. Because think about it this way:
it would be so much more fun.
Hold on. If there's 60,000 fans at a game, 40,000 fans at a game,
well, there won't be now because people won't go. Not as many people will go to BOGO Night as they would Dollar Dog Night. So now it's probably 30,000. I'm sure this will be a 10,000 people decrease on a weeknight in April against bad teams.
That's each person eating 2 hot dogs, and that's $2 that they're spending.
It's 5 because I split it up. Like you're basically paying $2.50 a dog because it's buy one get one.
No, the way it used to be.
Oh well, yeah.
If they're getting $60,000, each person is spending $2. Normally, every person is spending way more than $2 for their food, right?
Not as many people are buying the hot dogs though.
But people still have to eat at the game. You're there for like 5 hours.
I bring food from other places into the stadium. Although they banned it now because you can't bring in plastic bags anymore. They changed the bag policy. You can't even bring in a drawstring bag. It's ridiculous.
I didn't know you were allowed to bring in outside food.
Yeah, you can bring it. We bring in outside food, outside water. I mean, we'll have to figure out something else now. But like for playoff games, other than the one time we ate the Schwarburger, we bring in hoagies and stuff. We've been doing that forever.
I don't know. I usually get I will say Citizens Bank Park has good food.
It's very very. I mean, the cheesesteaks are great. The mango pizza is to die for.
I love the Seasons pizza.
It's gone.
What?
It's been gone.
No, it was there last year.
No, it was not. Mango pizza replaced it in 2022.
That's a lie. It's there somewhere. I will find it.
It's not.
No. Nope, that's not true.
They went out of business, I think.
I don't know. There used to be one up in Wayne that I went to. I would go to a place near it.
Wayne.
Anyway, Wayne, Pennsylvania. They got a very good tea place up there if you're ever interested in having a British tea hour. I'm not kidding. I've been there many times. I have a picture of me next to the arm around the cardboard cutout of King Charles. It was a great day.
That's the most Colin Daly thing I've ever heard.
I know. Ryan Howard's place is great.
Oh, the chicken. I went there once. It's so expensive.
I know, but oh my God, they have the peach cobbler. So good.
The Charlie Manuel cheesesteak place. I don't like onions. I don't like a bunch of stuff in my cheesesteak, but
Oh,
that's
of course
apparently
you don't.
really good.
You're vanilla ice cream too.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no, you're a vanilla ice
At
cream
least I like
baby.
hot dogs. Anyway, let's move on.
Shake Shack is great too.
Shake
Oh,
Shack's good.
oh gosh, I would love to know how much money I spend eating at those games. I eat so much food. I usually get a Seasons pizza, a Shake Shack, and then I get something from the
Well, you don't go to
Ryan
as
Howard
many.
place.
I don't think you go to. I mean, I'm sure you're not.
No,
We go to a
I
lot of
don't.
games, so
I
we
don't like
save
watching games at the
we
stadium.
we save as much money as possible when we go to the games
No,
because we go to a lot.
I don't like going to games. Can't see. I need to be able to watch the game.
All
Can't
right,
watch the game when you're at the game.
all right.
If I
There you
can't see
go.
how your pitch moves, then I'm not doing my job, which is to
Well, if
watch
you
the game.
sit in those certain sections, you can watch the TV.
That's
Don't worry, Philly
too
sports
much.
reports. Philly sports reports will get credentialed one day, and you can watch the game for the press box.
That I need. That would work.
All right, let's move on to spring training. We got to wrap this up. What have you seen so far? Who do you like? What don't you like? It's
Pitching staff's done a great job.
Yeah.
Pitching staff's done a very good job. Zach Wheeler, 2 innings, 1 run today. He had a nasty, nasty sweeper going. The sweeper and the sinker were both working very well today. Nola went out there and he had 1 good start, 1 start.
very Aaron Nola.
Yeah, very Aaron Nola. Ranger made his first start of the spring. Was it Thursday? I can't remember. I believe that was the game against Miami. The offense has been a little underwhelming. Christian Pache's had a very good spring. Jake Cave, a very good spring. A lot of guys have struggled, though. Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Johan Rojas. Names that I was not really expecting. I thought Johan Rojas was going to have a great spring. That has not been the case. So, yeah,
it's still very early.
It is, yeah. Rojas has been working out so much more than I would assume the rest of the guys have been. So that's kind of why I was expecting him to have a leg up early in the preseason, but does not seem to be working out the way I expected.
Well, I want to talk about that final outfield spot.
I do too.
Things up. You mentioned both Jake Cave and Christian Pache. Which of the two do you think get that final spot, and what would they have to do to trump whatever that word is, Johan Rojas for the starting center field spot, if it's possible?
Unfortunately, I don't think it is. The organization is so high on Johan Rojas. They love the kid. I do too. I'm a big Rojas fan. I've made that pretty clear on here. But no, I think that he has the starting spot, at least for the beginning. Here's what I can tell you. They're not going to leave an ineffective player as the everyday center fielder. So if he is not doing his job, right, Scott Kingery, Bryson Stott, the biggest one, in my opinion, since I have started following the Phillies, Maikel Franco.
Who'd you say you cut out?
Maikel Franco.
Maikel Franco.
Send people to the minor leagues. Alec Boehm. 4 guys, all of whom are prominent players. The organization has shown they are not afraid to send back down to the minor leagues a highly respected prospect that. I'm not saying it's going to be Rojas. I mean, look at Stott. People thought he was not going to pan out. Turns out he just needed a little bit more time to mature than the organization thought. Then there's guys like Franco who did not pan out. And there's guys who are like Boehm who are, doing their job, maybe a little bit worse, but not to what their expectation was. But I think Rojas gets the starting position unless he just is complete garbage the rest, below 100 batting average for the rest of the spring. But I also don't. I think that if it's, May 1st and he isn't doing his job, Christian Pache will start every day, or Jake Cave, or whoever has shown, and whether it's in AAA or as a bench bat, that they're most capable.
If March or Cave do take over, I think I would move March back. Or I said Pache and Cave. I would move March back to center and then fill left field with Pache or Cave. Because Pache's looked really good. And he made that one play in left field, diving to his, I think it was to his right, and like rolling over. He made the catch. It was and covered a lot of ground. I was pretty amazed by the catch. And he looks like a really good defensive left fielder. If Rojas doesn't pan out, I mean, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
So who gets that final spot? Rojas Pache or Cave? Right now, I'm going Pache.
Yeah. I think Pache.
Would love another lefty bat, but I just think Pache's been really good this spring.
Cave has two, but Cave's never proven him to be consistent in the major leagues. So it's hard to justify. It's just hard to continuously justify a roster spot for him.
JK, final out of the 2023 National League Championship Series.
Yep.
Popped up to Corbin Carroll. Oh, my God. That was the most – I don't want to remember that.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Ben, that is going to have to do it for this. I do have to run. Folks, thank you all very much for tuning in to – oh, God, is this 51? Episode 51?
No, 49.
49.
We're one away from 50, but first, before we end this, we got to thank SeatGeek, of course. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring. Use code Phillies Sports Report to save $20 off. Save $20 off your first purchase. Again, PHILLYSPORTSREPORT to save $20 off your first purchase. Hold that S. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring.
Out of the park.
Follow us everywhere. Follow Colin and I on Twitter. Follow Bell Ringers on Twitter. And we're on all Phillies Sports is on all social medias. So go follow us there. Subscribe. Rate us. Thank you. Colin, any last words? Go Phils! We'll see you next time for episode 50.
Yes. Thank you all for listening.